Hello sim racers. Short video from my side on the setup sheet, how to use it in Motec. So there's a big reason why you should use it. The problem with the method I was using so far is that it was impossible for me to compare two different setups within one workspace. So the way it worked before is would had to change the front write height and rear write height in the math channel here. Before here there were like two channels, the write height and an offset value, and down here you had the spring rates. So those values were fixed in the workspace itself, and yeah, didn't make it possible for me to enter like a second value of another setup. But luckily there's a way already implemented in the software on how you can do it. By using the setup sheet and linking the outing, like your data here, to those values. And therefore, every time you load that outing in Motec, it will take the values from the setup sheet, and therefore you will be able to compare different setups immediately in one workspace. So how does it work? As you've seen, like in your workspace, you might have values in here. Front write height, rear write height, offset, and down here on constant you might have wheel rates front and wheel rate on the rear. So I don't have them anymore. I deleted those channels because I don't need them, because I want to take them from the setup sheet to be flexible. So the way you do this is you click on this Excel icon up here, or you press Ctrl T. This will open this window for you. And here you see, if you haven't created a setup sheet yet, we'll have this create button here. You press it and it should open Excel with a lot of channels up here. Those are just some default preset channels. I don't know where Motec has them from, maybe from their own devices. But this has nothing to do with ACC. So what we will do, I will just delete everything up here. And then I will enter the channel names that I need for my workspace. So now at the moment I don't have any channels from the setup sheet because I haven't named any channels and didn't put any values in. So for example, for the write heights, nothing is shown here. And it doesn't, because if I go into math, it says one or more channels could not be resolved, because this name, the in-game write height front, couldn't be found because I deleted it in the workspace. So now I have to to fill that gap and put those channel names with the values inside of that setup sheet. So let me just do it. I'm gonna copy this one in. I know that for the rear, it has the same name, but called rear. Then I have an offset value, which I know I can find that the name in here, I think. Or maybe even in, I think I implemented in here. Yeah, rake offset adjustment, the name that I need. For you, it might be easier to find those names when they're in the math channel still. And then I had the two wheel rates, which I can find in here. Okay, now we are almost done, and put it in for the rear. So you can even set the unit in here as well. So for example, for the wheel rate, it's Newton/meter, I think. and for the rear as well. Perfect. All the other stuff we don't need, we can just do it for now. So now we have our 5 channels that were missing, which I deleted in this workspace, so it didn't display the telemetry in the workspace. So this is step 1. We have those channel names. Step 2 would be to insert the setup values, and for this you need to tell the setup sheet the date and the time of that recorded telemetry. Let me activate here the edit mode, important, so that you can save it later on. So let's have a look here. We have the 19th December 2021. 19th December 2021. 19th 21. And the time is 21:12 and some seconds, but it doesn't matter. 21:12. So now every setup after this moment in time will take those setup values from here until you insert another row. It's important that those values, or like those entries, they have to be in order, so chronological. If not, it won't take them. So if you insert an older date in the next row, it won't take it. So that's something you have to be careful. Just gonna assume some values now for that car. Just 53, 56, I think that should be correct. For the rake offset adjustment, I'm gonna put in 0 to start with. We're gonna fix that later on. And here, I'm gonna go with 150,000. Okay. Now we inserted our values that should be assigned to that telemetry file. I'm gonna try to press save now and see what happened. Okay, so it saved it, but here you see the date, something broke in here. So you see, it didn't take my entry as a date. It took it as a date and time. So you might have to fix it in here and say the date. You want to have it displayed like this way, for example. And then just gonna fix it in here and say it was 2021. It was the 19th of December, I think. Okay, now it should have taken it as a date. Gonna try to save it again. I think it worked. Going back to Motec now. Oh, it immediately worked. You see now all the right height channels actually display the telemetry, and you have this graph in here. You also, when clicking on setup sheet, you will see, oh wow, I have the channels that I created in the setup sheet by giving it the name in the first row, and by giving it the values. I even have the units next to it. If you want to learn more about this, on how it exactly works, you can always click here on help. It's not that long, you can read through it. It gives you a quick overview on how the setup sheet works. So once we have done this, there's one more thing to do. This rake offset adjustment value. Some of you might already know this because with the old way of doing things, you also had to do it. So you have to go to rake. You go select an outlap, and you have to make sure that this red square is in front of the time. So to do this, you have to press F9, or you can also press this icon up here, time distance. And you see here in the setup, it tells me that my rake, while being stationary in here in the box, sitting on the ground, not moving, is 0.76. But if we have a look in our setup sheet, You see, I have a front ride height of 53, a rear ride height of 56. So taking those numbers for granted, my rake displayed in the software in Motec should be 3 millimeters, because rear ride height minus front ride height. So what I have to do now is I have to add the missing value. So to get from this value up to 3 millimeters, I have to add 2.24 to get to the 3 millimeters. And that's exactly the way we're gonna write it in here. So here, I think it takes the semicolon. Yeah, 2.24. Gonna put this in, and now I'm gonna save it, and I'm quickly jumping over to Motec, and I fucked something up. So let's have a look what I did wrong. I might have to make it a dot. Yeah. Let's save it. You can also format this, I think, to a number, and then you can somewhat manipulate it to take the semicolon. But I think with a dot it should work. Yes. Okay. Now you see it's displaying 3 millimeter rake, and this is what we want to see. So now everything is set up perfectly. You can jump back to distance, and the workspace is ready to be used. Like, you see the ride height channels get displayed nicely, the rake is calculated correct, and also like the arrow here is being calculated correctly. I hope this helps some of you guys. It's a really cool tool because now you can link those setup values to different telemetry data, and this will give you the chance to compare different setups within the one workspace. Quick example to show you what I mean by that is I have now all the channels in here, like the right height channel, for example, and they're also shown for the next data because, as I told you, these values, they will be correct, or they will be used by the software, by Motec, for all the following data. But now let's assume this setup here, down here, 2149, is a different setup. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy everything in here, one down, and I'm gonna insert 49 or something in here. And I'm gonna change the values here from, let's just make some stupid numbers, 60 and 70. And I'm gonna press save, jump over, and you saw it jumped. And now if we compare 2 laps of the 2 different outings, like this one, the first as the primary lap, and as a secondary lap, this one, you can see the difference in here now. So those telemetry values are now completely different because the setup is different. And this way, you would be able to compare those 2 files easily just by using the one workspace. And every time you open those files, it will be correct no matter what. So you don't have to change anything after you inserted those values in the sheet the first time. Also, yeah, you can see like the rake also changed because I have different values in here, like a different step. Here I have only 3 millimeters. Here I have 10. If I would put in like 63 here and save it, I think the rake should come together again. Yes, because now it might be the same rake, but the ride heights are different. You see, different ride heights, but rake different. So everything should get calculated the correct way if you do it with the setup sheet. That's basically it from my side. I hope that you get it to work on your PC. There might be some issues with as you saw, with the format of the date and time. You might have to play around with it. I also think that you need Excel to do this. The important thing is that this file is an XLSM file, and these files are also like special for every car. So every car gets its own file. If you can't open the setup sheet by clicking edit here and the whole software breaks, which can happen, then you might work around this by opening the folder where your workspace is in. So you see here, in I2 workspaces, and then you see different workspaces. You go to the one that you're working in, and then in setup sheets you see you have, for every car you have a different file. The file name has to be the file name, also like not a file name, but the car name of that telemetry data in Motec. As you can see here on the left, this one is called M4GT3. So this file has to be named M4GT3. When clicking on create, it does it for you. So the way you could work around this, if it doesn't let it open by doesn't open itself by clicking through the Motec by here and then press edit, if it doesn't work, you just go in here and open the file from this folder, and you can insert your values, you save it, and it still should work fine for you. It's just a bit more fiddly. Yep, I hope this helps you guys. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the comments. Also, make sure to step by on the Discord. We're always talking about Motec and setup stuff. Link will be in the description, and I hope you have a good day. See ya.